We always look at the API as your wholesale distribution channel. Essentially, our metaphor is that your website is the front door. It's the showroom at the front of the manufacturing company where you sell stuff. It's the company store. You sell stuff direct to your customers, whereas in the back there's whatever your underlying capabilities are. The API is the loading dock. That's where you ship things out by the bushel load in large quantities. I'm Warren Michaels. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Mashright. Mashright is a provider of API infrastructure as a service. So when I was at my last company, we had built an API because we felt that was going to be an opportunity to bring on new customers and bring on new users of our service. But we found that it's one thing to have an API that does something really cool and useful. It's another thing to have the ability to manage and control that. And the problem we had in my last company was that the API was very useful for other people to make money on, but we needed a lot of controls. We needed things like developer keys and access controls and all these sorts of infrastructure pieces in order to make the API actually a useful distribution channel. A lot of companies outsource things that are, quote, core, unquote. Core is what the API actually does. In MTV's case, what is core to them is making great videos. In the New York Times' case, what is core to them is great content, great stories. Netflix has the most amazing distribution system. They have this great recommendation engine. But running web services infrastructure is not core to any of them any more than running a content delivery network is, or than building their own web servers or their own operating systems. Computers are core to them. They don't build their own, and they don't write their own OSs. We are the only people for whom running an API and managing the infrastructure around an actual API distribution channel is core. Only so many business models on the web for making money. We all know what they are, like subscription and advertising and selling stuff, and there's a limited number of these things. And the advice that we provide, the very basic advice, is your API should have the same business model as your company. And so the idea behind an API is the means of broadening the distribution for your core business. And your core business has to be able to make money on its own, otherwise there's no point in doing it. Attracting a developer community, of course, is the most important part of a successful API. We currently have, I think, somewhere between 40 and 50,000 developers signed up across the APIs that we manage. So it's a pretty big community of communities. There are actually some great best practices around how developers should be acquired, and we're actually working with a couple of third-party firms to come in and provide to companies that need it, to provide actually a package of services around launching your API. We're all about allowing companies to separate the distribution layer from their apps and make their data and logic layers available as building blocks so that really cool new stuff can be built, and providing the tools necessary to manage the chaos, to allow for scalability, and to enable companies to have the metrics they need in order to really turn this into a profitable business.